I'll be honest with you. When I first heard that banana peels could dramatically increase worm populations, I was skeptical. I mean, I'd been vermicomposting for years, trying every trick in the book to keep my worm bins thriving. But what happened when I finally tested this method left me absolutely stunned. Within 24 hours, the activity in my worm bin had literally doubled, and I'm not exaggerating. Let me share exactly what I discovered and how you can replicate these results in your own garden. It was a regular Thursday morning when I noticed my worm bin looking a bit lackluster. The population seemed stagnant, and I wasn't getting the rich castings I'd come to expect. I'd just finished my breakfast smoothie and was about to toss 3 banana peels into my kitchen compost when something made me pause. I'd read countless articles about banana peels in compost, but I'd never really paid attention to the specific claims about worms going absolutely crazy for them. So, I decided to run an experiment. I chopped up those banana peels into small pieces, about inch-long strips, and buried them in different sections of my worm bin. What happened next honestly shocked me. Within just a few hours, I could see worms congregating around those banana peel pieces like they'd discovered buried treasure. By the next morning, the sections where I'd placed the peels were absolutely teeming with worms, easily double the activity I'd seen the day before. Here's what I've learned through both research and hands-on experience. Banana peels are essentially worm superfood. They're loaded with potassium, phosphorus, and calcium, nutrients that worms need to thrive and reproduce. But it's not just about the nutritional content. Banana peels have a soft, easily digestible texture that breaks down quickly, and they retain moisture beautifully, creating the perfect microenvironment that worms absolutely love. The magic really happens because of the natural sugars in banana peels. As these peels begin to decompose, they produce a sweet, fermented smell that acts like a dinner bell for worms. I've watched this happen over and over in my bins, and the response is almost immediate. Worms have chemoreceptors that help them detect food sources, and they're particularly attracted to the chemical compounds released by decomposing fruit. What really sets banana peels apart from other kitchen scraps is their carbon-to-nitrogen ratio. They're nitrogen-rich, which speeds up decomposition and creates warmth in your compost, exactly what worms need to become more active and reproductive. When worm bins reach optimal temperatures and have abundant food sources, worm populations can actually double in just a few weeks under the right conditions. Let me walk you through the exact process I use, because preparation matters more than you might think. First, I never throw whole banana peels into my worm bin anymore. Chopping or tearing them into smaller pieces is crucial because it increases the surface area, allowing worms to access the food more easily and speeding up decomposition. I aim for pieces about 1 to 2 inches in size. I've experimented with both fresh and slightly aged banana peels, and here's what I found. Letting them sit for a day or two actually works better. When banana peels are slightly brown and starting to break down, they're even more attractive to worms. The decomposition process has already begun, making them softer and releasing those irresistible compounds that draw worms in. The placement technique is something I learned through trial and error. Instead of piling all the banana peels in one spot, I distribute them throughout the bin in small pockets. I create little wells in the bedding, tuck the peels inside, and cover them with about 2 inches of bedding material. This prevents fruit flies from becoming an issue and creates multiple feeding stations throughout the bin. Here's a critical tip that made all the difference for me. I freeze my banana peels before adding them to the worm bin. Freezing breaks down the cell walls, making them mushier and easier for worms to consume. When you thaw them out, they're almost like baby food for worms. The first time I tried this, I saw worms swarming the peels within hours rather than days. You know, one mistake I made early on was overloading my bin with banana peels because, well, I was just so excited about the results. But here's the thing, moderation is key. I've found that adding banana peels twice a week works perfectly for a standard-sized worm bin. For my medium bin, that's about 2 feet by 2 feet, I add the peels from 3 to 4 bananas per feeding. Now, the 24-hour doubling I experienced was specifically about worm activity and congregation around the feeding areas, not necessarily a doubling of the total population. However, I did notice that sustained banana peel feeding over several weeks led to visible increases in my overall worm population and, more importantly, a significant boost in cocoon production. Those tiny lemon-shaped cocoons are where new worms come from, and let me tell you, I was finding them everywhere. While banana peels became my secret weapon, I discovered they work even better when combined with other worm-friendly practices. I maintain a bedding mixture of shredded cardboard, coconut coir, and aged leaves. This combination holds moisture well while providing plenty of carbon to balance out the nitrogen-rich banana peels. I also learned to monitor moisture levels more carefully once I started adding banana peels regularly. They release quite a bit of liquid as they break down, so I sometimes need to add extra dry bedding to keep things from getting too wet. The ideal moisture level feels like a wrung-out sponge, damp but not dripping. Temperature control became another important factor. Banana peels decompose faster in warmer conditions, which can create hot spots in your bin if you're not careful. I keep my bins in a temperature-stable area, ideally between 55 and 77 degrees Fahrenheit, where decomposition happens at a steady, manageable pace. Beyond the obvious population boost, I noticed several other improvements in my worm bins after implementing the banana peel method. The quality of my worm castings improved dramatically. They became darker, richer, and had this beautiful, crumbly texture that my plants absolutely loved. The potassium from the banana peels was clearly making its way into the final product. My worms also seemed healthier overall. They were more active, had better color, and seemed more resilient. I used to occasionally find dead or dying worms in my bins, but that became increasingly rare. The nutrient boost from the banana peels appeared to be supporting their overall health and longevity. Another surprising benefit was how much faster my bins were processing other food scraps. It was like the banana peels had revved up the entire system. Coffee grounds, vegetable scraps, and eggshells that used to take weeks to break down were being processed in days. The increased worm activity and population meant everything was moving through the system more efficiently. I'd be lying if I said everything was perfect from day one. I encountered some challenges that taught me valuable lessons. The first issue was fruit flies. When I initially started using banana peels, I made the mistake of leaving them exposed on the surface. Within days, I had a fruit fly problem. The solution was simple. Always bury your banana peels under at least 2 inches of bedding and, consider freezing them first, which kills any fruit fly eggs that might be present. Some of you might worry about banana peels from non-organic sources because of pesticides. I had this concern too, and here's what I learned. Washing your banana peels thoroughly with water and a bit of vinegar removes most surface pesticides. That said, if you're eating bananas regularly anyway, using those peels is better than wasting them, regardless of their origin. Your worms will still benefit, and the composting process helps break down many chemical residues. I also discovered that moldy banana peels are actually fine for worm bins. In fact, the mold is just another form of decomposition, and it can actually help kickstart the breakdown process. Worms will consume both the peels and the mold, and it all becomes beautiful compost in the end. Understanding why this works on a deeper level has really made me a better vermicomposter overall. Worm reproduction is directly tied to food availability and quality. When worms have access to nutrient-dense food sources like banana peels, their bodies receive signals that conditions are favorable for reproduction. They produce more cocoons, and those cocoons hatch more successfully. The potassium in banana peels is particularly important because it supports worm muscle function and overall metabolism. Worms are about 75% water and 25% protein, and they need a balanced diet to maintain their bodily functions. The phosphorus supports energy transfer within their cells, while the calcium is crucial for cocoon formation and development. Moreover, banana peels create an ideal pH environment as they decompose. Worms prefer a slightly acidic to neutral pH range, and banana peels help maintain this balance naturally. I've tested my worm bins with a simple pH meter, and the sections with banana peels consistently show pH levels in the optimal 6.5 to 7.0 range. The ripple effects of having a thriving worm population have truly transformed my gardening results. I'm now producing about 3 times more worm castings than I was before, which means I have this incredible free fertilizer for all my plants. My tomatoes have never been more productive. My roses are blooming like crazy. And my vegetable garden is producing harvests that have my neighbors asking what my secret is. I've started sharing worm castings with friends and family, and honestly, I'm even considering selling them at local farmers markets. What started as a simple experiment with banana peels has turned into a sustainable source of the best organic fertilizer you can find. The castings are worth their weight in gold, and I'm producing them from kitchen waste that would have otherwise gone to a landfill. The environmental impact isn't lost on me either. My household waste has decreased significantly since I started feeding more to my worms. We're diverting pounds of organic material from the waste stream every week, and it's being transformed into something that enriches soil and supports plant growth. It feels good knowing that my banana peels are doing so much more than just decomposing in a landfill somewhere. I encourage you to start this experiment in your own worm bins today. Whether you're a complete beginner or you've been vermicomposting for years, the banana peel method can really take your worm population and compost quality to the next level. Start small, observe what happens, and adjust based on what you see. Every worm bin is a little different, but the fundamental principle remains the same. Worms love banana peels. Remember to be patient with yourself and your worms. While I saw dramatic activity increases within 24 hours, building a truly robust worm population takes time. Keep feeding those banana peels consistently, maintain good bin conditions, and trust the process. Your worms will reward you with incredible compost and a thriving, self-sustaining ecosystem. If you found this article helpful and want more game-changing gardening tips like this, make sure to subscribe to The Soil House. I'm constantly experimenting with new techniques and sharing my real-world results with our community. Hit that subscribe button, share this article with your fellow gardeners, and drop a comment below telling me about your experiences with banana peels in your worm bins. Let's grow together and build healthier soil, one banana peel at a time.